Alright, welcome everybody to my new domicile, to use a weird word, first pickups video in the new place, and this is going to be covering everything that I didn't go over in the Xbox One video that I made last month, that I've gotten over the past 2 months. And so it's kind of a lot of stuff. Let's just get right to it. As usual, I'm going to start off with Switch stuff, which there has been a lot of over the past 2 months. You'd think that there would be a lot less stuff coming out over the summer, but it's all the kind of games that I want to buy. So, starting off with the big, fancy, I absolutely love this package here, Sonic Mania Plus. Absolutely fantastic packaging. I'm so glad that I waited to buy it, and I know a lot of people are upset that they paid for the big collector's edition, never even got a cartridge or a disc with it. But this thing is absolutely fantastic. Get the big slipcover with the beautiful artwork on it, the holographic design and everything. You get the art book here, which is why they have the big slipcover here, and then you get the cartridge in the case with the reversible art. It's the same art as on the front, and then they have this beautiful Genesis cover art, which I absolutely love. And of course, I have it on the Genesis side. Then you got to put that all back in when you put the art book back in, but it's whatever. And I already beat this game. It was probably the best Sonic game ever made, best Sonic game in like 25 years. Why don't they just make more games like this? Instead, they keep releasing crappy after crappy 3D Sonic game like Sonic Forces, and then not even really caring as much about the good ones when they come out. Immediate double dip here on the Crash Insane Trilogy. I got rid of my Insane Trilogy for PS4 a couple months ago because this got announced, and I was like, I'm getting it for the Switch. It's going to be on the Switch. I already played through the first Crash again, but since I've already beaten that, of course, I've kind of gone on and done other stuff. But it's still great, and I'm really glad to have it on the Switch. Gonna be one of the best games that I played this year. Yoku's Island Express. It is a pinball Metroidvania, and it is exactly as good as it can be with those two terms, and it's absolutely fantastic. I played this for like 5 days straight. I couldn't put it down. I beat the whole thing. It's just awesome game by Team 17 and Villa Gorilla. Please check this game out. It's so good. It's on all 3 systems. First limited run game for the Switch came in, Thimbleweed Park. Very LucasArts style adventure game. Many references to LucasArts and other stuff like that in there. I have started to play it, but I don't have the attention span for it right now. I have so much other stuff to do, so I've kind of put it down for now, but it is a really cool game. Thimbleweed Park, first limited run game, more on the way for sure. Stern Pinball Arcade. Stern is a weird pinball company because most of their stuff, they've been like the most successful over like the past like 20 to 25 years, and all their stuff is licensed stuff. So you get a pinball arcade game where basically all of the tables are licensed tables. You get Star Trek, AC/DC, Mustang, Harley Davidson, like literally one of these, maybe technically 2 of these tables is not a licensed table. The rest of them are all licensed tables, which is really weird. But still a lot of good pinball in there, and I got that on sale at GameStop for $20. I immediately went out and grabbed it as soon as I saw that it was on sale. The third game from Super Rare Games, who are releasing a lot of stuff over the next year that they've announced. Thankfully, I'm not crazy about a lot of the games because they're like RPGs and stuff. But this is the third game from them. It looked really cool. Shelter Generation, sort of like a wilderness survival game. Really cool. So grab this. And for a while, it looked like I was going to be getting every Super Rare games that came out, and I'm actually glad I'm not. Of course, the one we were all waiting for, Shaq Fu, Legend Reborn. It's as good as it could possibly be, which is to say it's totally fine and worth playing the 3 to 4 hours that it takes to beat it. I haven't played the DLC yet. Which is The Legend of Dirty Barry, where you play Barack Obama. So I have to get on that, but of course, I had a digital version coming to me anyway because of NBA Playgrounds, but I had to have this, and we now have the collector's edition up at work because we're crazy people. Mario Tennis Aces, which I've already written up a review for and everything, that's going up on the Culture Shock site in the next couple days, next week or so, once we get into August. I was weirdly disappointed in this, but I realized I was probably too excited for it in the first place. The adventure mode is kind of short, and the new game mechanic, the one new game mechanic that they really try to push, is a little bit too repetitive. The Mario Tennis gameplay is still there and everything, which is great, but you kind of have to like work your way into it to get to that. So, unfortunately, not the best Mario Tennis. Still, probably the GameCube one is the best one. But still a fun game and everything. Just, I don't know why I got so excited for it. Because I realized I don't get that excited for Mario Tennis usually. And then finally, for Switch games, Brawlout. The first of Merge Games' releases, which are coming out, I think, mostly over the next 2 months or so. I have like 3 games pre-ordered from them. Brawlout you probably have seen as the holdover to Smash Brothers. That's basically what they're trying to sell you. I've played 1 game of this, but I had so much going on that I couldn't like stick with this. Like Crash came out like the next day, and I was like, you know what, we're putting this on the back burner. It does have Hyper Light Drifter and the guy from Guacamelee in it, so it's kind of on that like that indie sort of like, you know, tongue-in-cheek. I don't want to say tongue-in-cheek because it's not like it's a joke or anything, but like that sort of indie wavelength, and that's why they got those 2 guys. It literally is a Smash Brothers clone, kind of shameless in that sense, but not like a bad game. Just a very like sell this game because Smash Brothers isn't out yet. And that's it for Switch games, and we still got a whole lot of other stuff to do. Let's just go with the one PSP game. This is going to be a trend for this. Killzone Liberation, Killzone Mercenary on the Vita, which I've already beaten a long time ago, is one of the best shooters I've played on a handheld ever. Probably is the best shooter I've ever played on a handheld. And I realized I didn't have most of the Killzone games, so I grabbed Killzone Liberation for the PSP, which is I'm not expecting it to be as good as Mercenary. But on that note, I also got Killzone 2 and 3. I have beaten Killzone 2, and I have not played Killzone 3 at all yet, but I was surprised to find that I didn't have either of them. The only Killzone I've tried so far that I didn't care for was the first one on PS2. So, you know, I liked 2, and I really liked Mercenary, so I'm hoping to enjoy the other games in the series. A couple more PS3 games. Another Ratchet and Clank game, Ratchet and Clank Crack in Time, the second PS3 game. Supposed to be really good. I still don't have Into the Nexus and Full Frontal Assault, but I do have the first 2, the Ratchet and Clank Future ones, and I have All for One. The first 2, the Future games, are supposed to be the best ones. This game that I hate, I hate that I have to own this and try it and try to get something out of it because it seems like something I should absolutely love. It's Castlevania, Lords of Shadow 2, Castlevania game mixed with God of War, which to say completely copied from God of War. I haven't played that much of the first game, but I never see this game around, so when it came in the store, I was like, you know what, I have to grab this as much as I cannot stand that Lords of Shadow is what Castlevania is now, because it shouldn't be that. But there's like, when you don't look at it as a Castlevania game, it's a decent game. So, I don't know, it's just, you kind of have to have it. I hate it. I'm sorry. This I actually grabbed sealed. I was really glad to find this sealed because it means I get the one thing that I would have really wanted out of it, which is Mega Man 10. Capcom Essentials has 2 discs inside of it and a digital code. Super Street Fighter 4, so I mean that's a slight upgrade over the Street Fighter 4 game that I had. Not that I play Street Fighter all that much. And a PS3 copy of Devil May Cry 4, which is cool. Maybe save a little bit of space on the shelf because I already had Devil May Cry 4, of course. But yeah, finding it sealed at like a thrift store was really good because you get Mega Man 10 out of it. And I can still use that code. It's not past the date or anything. And then so a couple PS4 games. Not a whole lot of PS4. A lot of Switch, but not a lot of PS4. First is a limited run game, one of the few limited run games I will get on anything besides the Switch. I had to have it as soon as I saw it because I was like, my god, that is just something. Ace of Seafood is like a 3D sort of shoot 'em up, like a free roaming shoot 'em up. And I played it a little bit. It is a literal Okusoga, a shit game. It's intended to be that way. It's ridiculous. You cannot play that for more than a couple minutes at a time, but I'm gonna keep wanting to go back and try this game. There's so many mechanics in this game that I'm just like, I don't care. I do not care about the mechanics in this game. I just want to be a goofy looking, very weird, static looking fish and just shoot everything. Like, look at that. Look at this game. It's so stupid. So I'm really glad I have this. It's one of the few limited run games I'll end up having for anything besides the Switch. The saga of Horizon Zero Dawn continues with me. I bought it last Christmas when it was on sale for really cheap. I was like $20 on sale, and everyone was talking about it still. And I tried it, and it's the type of game that I'm not gonna be able to get into right away. So when GameStop had a special on it, a trade-in promotion on it, I sold it, and I think I got back more than I spent on it. And the reason I chose to do that as opposed to just hang on to it was because I knew that a complete edition was going to be coming out. I think it was right around that time that the complete edition was announced. That even though I'm probably never going to get to it, it has content that is going to be on the disc and everything. So I think I paid less for this than I got back when I sold the game. So overall, it was just like to have Horizon Zero Dawn PS4 exclusive that is really supposed to be fantastic and everything, and I will enjoy eventually when I get around to playing it and really putting work into it. I want to have the complete edition if it exists. So finally, hopefully, we'll close the book on that and I'll just play it eventually. And then the last PS4 game, I still haven't opened this. I grabbed it the other day because it was on sale, and it's from THQ Nordic. It's the Raven Remastered. It's like an adventure game. It doesn't have the greatest reviews or anything, but it's the kind of game that I like. The kind of game that I like that THQ Nordic puts out. So I grabbed it. It was like $15 on sale. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get that for sure. I have one PS1 game here. It is a game that I've wanted for like 3 years, and if it had been complete, I wouldn't have bought it because it would have been so expensive. But I managed to get this for like $35. This is SkullMonkeys, a PS1 game. Not like a super mechanically exciting platformer, but a visually exciting one. It's a sequel to / the name of the company that makes it is called The Neverhood, which is a PC game, and it's basically all claymation graphics. Like literal stop-motion, claymation, recorded graphics. And the game is super trippy and crazy. It looks like a Primus video. Like the Primus artwork that they would use sometimes in the videos. It's also like really just... The soundtrack is weird and trippy and everything. It's a really crazy game that has been going up a lot in price since the first time I saw it a couple years ago. And I finally have it. I do have a disc only, but I'm just really glad to have it. It's that SkullMonkeys. A couple odds and ends here. Just I think we only have a couple of 2 Game Boy games. I never buy Game Boy games, right? Game Boy original, I have Nemesis, which is a Gradius spin-off. So of course I've wanted to have this for a while, and it's still pretty cheap too. So that's good. Grab Nemesis, and then I found this at Savers, which is weird because they never have cartridge anything. But Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, or Simpsons, it's the Night of the Living Treehouse of Horror is the full title for it. And it's a Simpsons game, and it's probably not great, but good enough to pick up for a couple bucks. I've wanted this for a long time. This is NHL 98 for the Genesis. They made 98 NBA, Madden, and NHL. I think those are the 3 that they made for both Super Nintendo and Genesis. Obviously, this is nowhere near what the real NHL 98 was on would have been PS1 and Saturn. But just to have this exist, unfortunately, I don't have a case for it, which has Peter Forsberg on it. I love Peter Forsberg; he's one of my favorite players because of the Avalanche. But I finally have NHL 98. This is worth a decent amount of money for a Genesis hockey game, and the Super Nintendo one is the same thing, which is weird because I don't think the basketball or Maddens are, but yeah, finally have NHL 98. It's like a $15 game, which is crazy to think of. I have one NES game. I seriously never buy NES games anymore, but I've wanted this one for a while. It's Werewolf: The Last Warrior, which is not a particularly fantastic side scroller beat 'em up sort of thing. It does have one of my favorite covers or art label arts of all time, basically, because he's basically bursting through the cartridge, and I always think of it as like when you were a kid in the 80s, did you know what the inside of an NES cart looked like and would have been able to appreciate that at the time? And also the rest of it is just ridiculously yellow. So there's an NES game and then 2 DS games with no 3DS stuff, but 2 DS games. Phoenix Wright and Justice for All. I believe this is one that I haven't played. If I have, it was a long time ago and I wouldn't remember anything at all about it. But I love the Ace Attorney games. And anytime I can pick them up for $15 or less is good. So I got this one to add to my collection there. I love that series. I want a physical compilation of them to come out for something, but because it's Capcom, it's never going to happen. It's never going to come out as good as it should be. It's going to be half download and everything is bullshit. But and then this is also goofy. Henry Hatsworth: The Puzzling Adventure. It's a puzzle game with a character clearly designed to rip off Professor Layton, as people seem to love to do now. But it's supposed to be pretty good. I don't know much about the mechanics or anything. I just know it's a puzzle game, and it's supposed to be pretty decent. So it looks goofy. And alright, let's go on to some Wii games. First one, I'm not a huge fan of this series because I've never really tried it. I understandably, because I'm not a stealth person, I can't really do stealth games. I'm not good at them. So I've never really gotten into the Tenchu series. I only got this one because it was really cheap and not supposed to be terrible, even for a Wii version of a game. So I'll try that and probably fail at it miserably. Prince of Persia: The Forgotten Sands. Everyone seems to look down on the last 2 Prince of Persia games that came out. The other one that I also got for 360. And this one, which basically when they rebooted it around the time that the movie came out, I think. I'm not sure about the exact timeline on that. But they're supposed to be really good. Everyone seems to not like them. But when I actually look up reviews and player reviews and everything, that everyone seems to think that they're good if they've actually played them. It's really weird that the Prince of Persia series kind of just faded into obscurity while still making good games. You know what I mean? This one been on my list for a while. Resident Evil Darkside Chronicles. This is the sequel to Umbrella Chronicles, the shooter game that kind of brings you through a lot of the main series Resident Evil ones. I think Umbrella Chronicles really does mostly RE1, RE3, and this one mostly does Resident Evil 2 and Code Veronica. So this will be it's sort of like a crash course through the stories, as well as an actual fun, exciting game, especially if you play it with somebody else, because it's a light gun shooter, and I'm always interested in getting more light gun shooters because I love those. This is a goofy-ass looking game called Dewey's Adventure. It's a Konami-published, 3D platformer, and it doesn't have the greatest reviews in the world, but it's not supposed to be abysmal. And so when you find it for a couple bucks, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll get this Dewey's Adventure game. It's probably not that great. This is a game, this was Centipede Infestation. You've probably seen this on Wii and on 3DS, which is a weird combo. It means it came out right at the end of the original Wii, and right at the beginning of the 3DS. But Centipede Infestation surprisingly has some pretty good reviews, I think on both systems. And what really sold me on it, besides the fact that it was cheap and I could pick it up for $4, was the fact that it's actually WayForward. And WayForward, a company that I really like because of Shantae and a lot of other stuff that they've done. And it's always interesting to see the work that they put in, whether or not it was actually doing their best to to get something good out of a garbage license that would have had no soul in it whatsoever anyway. And it's a shooter, so it's supposed to be actually pretty decent. So I'm interested in checking it out. Next one, this was a big one. I finally have Mario Party 5. I've not bought GameCube or any other Mario Party game that wasn't on the 64 for a console game, because if I was going to get another one, I wanted Mario Party 5. This is the best of the GameCube ones. The Wii ones at this point I feel like aren't really playing by comparison. So I want a Mario Party 5. I finally have it, and it's like, it's stupid expensive. Like, everybody wants Mario Party all the time, and that's why I never bought it, because I'm trying to get something that everybody else wants. But I finally caved and just picked it up because I hate that all the Mario Party games are so expensive all the time, and they never last. Like, in the store, people want like $70-$80 for them online all the time, and it's when they sell them for $60 they actually sell, because that's actually cheap for them. It's stupid with Mario Parties, but I wanted 5. And then I've been playing this. I just played Extreme G2, and I realized that I do actually quite enjoy Extreme G, even though there's so many games that are like it. And so I decided, because it's still really, really cheap to pick up Extreme G3, especially because it's on the GameCube, and you don't get that much cheap GameCube games that are any good. So throw that in the collection too, because I do seem to like Extreme G. I appreciate it for sure. PS2 games, picked up at a thrift store the Trivial Pursuit. I already have Trivial Pursuit Unhinged, and I'm always interested if you got more Trivial Pursuit to throw at me. I like these kind of games if they're done reasonably well. So yeah, Trivial Pursuit on the PS2. NBA Jam, the Acclaim NBA Jam, after they realized that the way that they wanted to do it once they got the name by trying to make another basically sim was not the way to go. So they kind of, NBA Jam 99 and 2000 on the 64 are stupid because they're not like this at all. And then they realized maybe we had something we could sell to people. So let's just go back and make NBA Jam. EA was making NBA Street, and they weren't ever going to get back their fan base, but it's a decent attempt, and for that reason I definitely have to have it. Jet X2O, I've heard some really vastly different things about this game, but the fact that I really like Splashdown and Wave Race, and even Carve is pretty cool. I, for some reason, like these jet ski racing games, and to see Sony try basically in the same vein as like Kinetica, which I keep comparing to Extreme G. I figured I'd grab this and give it a shot, see how it stands against those games, Splashdown and stuff. You might have seen Metal Jesus talk about this game recently. It's a game published by Empire, which, for that specific reason, I never bothered to acknowledge it, even though it was a light gun game that you could use the controller with. But Endgame is apparently not terrible. It never had good reviews online, but Metal Jesus talked about it, and it's still really cheap. Probably not going to be cheap for that much longer, but it's still pretty cheap, so I grabbed this too. And I still don't really trust it. It's crazy to think. I still don't really trust this game to be that great. And then lastly, for PS2, a game I've actually wanted for a while now, but like I always wanted to find it for cheap at like a thrift store, and I realize it's probably not going to happen because it keeps getting more expensive and more hard to find. But Extermination is, again, this is Sony first-party exclusives for the PS2, published by, not published, but developed by a company called Deep Space. I keep seeing these games developed by companies I don't know. But it's a survival horror game in the vein of, like, The Thing. It's based on, like, it takes place in Antarctica, and, like, there's, like, a virus and stuff. It's, like, seems to be, like, heavily inspired by The Thing. And it's supposed to be really good. It just, nobody acknowledges this game. This is probably one of the last real hidden gems. And I assume that people are starting to talk about it because it's getting more expensive. And I finally grabbed it for PS2 because I'm going to... I now have high expectations for this game. And I probably am wrong to do that. But, sticking with the 6th gen stuff, let's go through a bunch of Xbox original. This game, I cannot believe that this game is actually supposed to be pretty good. It's the Haunted Mansion. Published by TDK, first of all, but it is developed by High Voltage, who have kind of hit and miss. They made Hunter the Reckoning, which I really like. And yeah, on any of the 3 systems that this game came out for, it's supposed to be really good. Because you know why? It's not based on the Eddie Murphy movie. There's no Eddie Murphy likeness in this. There's no. It's takes place with a completely new character. It's a kind of a shooter, adventure, puzzler game. I've heard a lot of good things about this recently, and I was baffled by it. It keeps getting way more expensive for GameCube. It's like $15 on GameCube now. So I just grabbed it when I could find it on the cheapest system, which was the Xbox. And I'm floored by the fact that I've heard so many good things about this lately, because it looks like garbage. And it came out to promote a garbage movie, the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion, and it's not really based on that. So I'm floored by it. I can't believe I own this game now, but I'm really looking forward to trying it because I've heard so many good things about it lately. This is a really, really interesting game that is not really my type of game at all. But I saw it pop up on like Declutter for like $4, and it seemed so interesting storyline wise. Shattered Union is sort of it's like an RTS, I guess, or I think not really an RTS, just like a strategy game for the original Xbox, but it's based on like a Civil War situation in the United States, so not relevant at all, basically. But yeah, completely far-fetched. But yeah, it was always interesting to me, so I grabbed it when I could get it for cheap. My devotion to Halo continues. I grabbed the Halo 3 Collector's Edition last month off Declutter, and because I could have some confidence that it would not look like complete garbage, I grabbed this Halo 2 Collector's Edition, just because it looks nice. It has the slipcover. I'm really glad. I like Halo. It's like the last game that anyone would probably expect me to be such a huge fan of, but I really do like Halo. And yeah, just grab this one. This is stacked, and the only reason that I wanted this game because I could really care less about playing a poker game at all. But I love John Boyce from SB Nation. Anybody who watches SB Nation wants to see more John Boyce videos all the time. He's fantastic. My favorite video of his, and I've watched it probably 15, 20 times, is when he talks about, on his series called Pretty Good, he talks about professional poker players. And Daniel Negreanu, the guy that they put on the front of this game, is absolutely fascinating to watch. Just go watch this John Boyce video. It's called Why Do I Do This? It's about poker players, professional poker players, and it is absolutely fascinating. Like, you would never imagine somebody talking about professional poker players could be this interesting. And this dude in particular is just it's a trip to watch him. Because he just knows. He can just count and figure out what everyone has. It's ridiculous to see him read a table. So I'm just interested in this for that sake. It's a dirt cheap game. It has no meaning really. But and then finally, I had this when I was a kid, and I played the hell out of it because I had my original Xbox. This is the NCAA 2005 and Top Spin Combo Pack, and I've always not really wanted to bother with it because it's like, why would I buy Top Spin? I have, Virtua Tennis, and I've picked up a couple of other tennis games along the way. Why, you don't need to buy tennis games. But I realized, I was thinking about it, I don't have any of these college football games. Not that that matters. But the NCAA series, especially around this time, has a lot of cool features and stuff to it. And considering how, plentiful and ridiculously cheap this game is, because it's 2 sports games, I was like, why not? I'll grab this. I didn't really have any college football games because there's none on the N64. So yeah, I just might as well. It's kind of a staple for an Xbox collection for someone who actually does enjoy sports games the way I do. And finally, we're on to the 360. There's just a couple 360 games in here. Some cool stuff. For surprisingly cheap, around like $10 on Declutter, I actually grabbed Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Despite the fact I'm terrible at these games, I'm bad at all these fighting games. But with the amount of characters that are in this game, it's really hard to pass up. So I figured, yeah, there's 48 characters in this. This is the one with all the bonus content. So if I'm going to play like any of these Capcom fighting games, this is really the one to go with, especially because I heard Infinite was so bad, people are going back to this game. because the tournaments, like, they don't want to play tournaments with the new game. They just want to play this. So it's really, really good. It's just never my type of game, so I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Two games because they're related. Two Telltale games, the earlier Telltale games based on movies that I absolutely love. Jurassic Park and Back to the Future. Back to the Future is actually on a bunch of systems now, including PS4 and Xbox One. And I played it once before, and I didn't really stick with it, but it's definitely the type of game that I want to play. Jurassic Park, on the other hand, has not been ported to any other systems physically, and is getting super expensive. I could not believe that this game has held its value. It's like a $30 360 game. So I eventually, just because I don't want it to get more expensive, I never see this game. I just wanted to grab it, and I kind of hate myself for it, but it's Jurassic Park, and I really like Jurassic Park games when they're decent, and this is supposed to... I've heard some good and some bad about it, but it's Telltale, and I want to play it. Like I said before, I grabbed the Prince of Persia, the reboot one, which is a lot better than you probably assume it is based on price and the fact that nobody talks about it. And so I have a lot of Prince of Persia games to play, but I have them all, and they're all supposed to be good, so... everyone, for some reason, cares about Rage 2 coming out, and I remember playing this game on the PS3 a while ago, and because it's open world, the open world thing was mostly what I didn't stick with it for, but there are a lot of cool mechanics in this game, so I guess it's not crazy that people are excited about Rage 2, especially after Mad Max Fury Road has been a thing, and, you know, there's some interest in that sort of game. I'm still kind of baffled by it, but I did pick up Rage because it is a pretty decent game that I thought had been forgotten. Basically, like how do you care about it when Fallout exists, published by the same company? Oh, and speaking of Fallout, Fallout 3, the only Fallout game I've really tried before was New Vegas, and like I've always said, I'm not the kind of person that plays the open world games like Bethesda makes, but this is supposed to be the one, like the best one from what I've heard, so I will try it at some point and see if I can get into it. My hopes are not terribly high, but I didn't pay much for it, so. Flatout Ultimate Carnage. I love Flatout. This is the weird, like, third game they came out for it, and that's why, there's a PSP one, too. And then I think they did Flatout 4 on the PS4 and Xbox One, like, last year. And I don't think that one did too well, unsurprisingly. But yeah, the Flatout is a cool series, and it's, you know, vehicular. It's not vehicular combat, but it's the Destruction Derby style racing that I'm actually kind of into. So this is supposed to be a good game. And finally, we have finally gotten to the end of it. I picked up Far Cry Compilation. I had Far Cry 3. And I had tried it, and I didn't really care for it, but I always wanted to get Far Cry Blood Dragon. The only way you can get Far Cry Blood Dragon on physical is with this stupid compilation, which also includes me buying Far Cry 2. It's whatever. But I will try Far Cry again, because I want to play Far Cry Blood Dragon. And I might enjoy Far Cry 5. I've been interested in that game since I heard what it was about. But, yeah. So... The reason I bought this is for Far Cry Blood Dragon. I basically paid $15 for that. And that's it. It's a lot of games. I've actually been playing games, though, besides just, like, my Switch. So I'm actually really happy about that. So it's cool to talk about all these games and say, like, I have tried this game, or I know when I'll be able to play it, or I feel like I'll be able to play it sometime soon, instead of just buying all these things and putting them away and being like, it's so inconvenient to just go and try and play them. So, thank you for watching this. Let me talk about this stuff. I'm going to keep on with Space Station Silicon Valley is going to be the next game that I play for the 64, so that'll be cool. And I will see you next time. Keep watching. Thank you.